Good morning, everyone. This is Sam McEwen, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most common endgames in chess, and that's the king and a queen against another king. The reason that this is one of the most common endgames is that if the game is really close, one side might come out with a pawn up, and then as you can see, with white's turn, he promotes to a queen. And so then it's a queen and a king against a king. And what we want it to end up looking like is something like this. It can look a couple different ways, but here's one way where the queen has the black king in its laser and the white king is blocking off the escape squares right here. And so that's checkmate. Another way it can look is like this, where the white king is protecting the white queen and the queen has all of the escape squares for the king under control. And so no matter where the king goes, he'll still be in a laser. And that's checkmate as well. And so going up, back up to here, once we promote our pawn, we've got the king in check. And so the king will move, maybe to d4. And what we want to do is the same thing that we did with two rooks and a king versus a king. And that is we want to make the cage for the black king smaller and smaller. And so I'm going to let you pause the video and try to figure out the best way to make a small cage to start off with the king to get him down to the h1 corner. There's a couple other ways to do this that might be faster, but this is what I think is the easiest way to learn to start off how to do a king and queen checkmate. So pause the video and try to find the answer, and then when you think you've found it, you can unpause. All right. So what we want to do is we want to bring our queen down to b5, and this way we have set up our cage on the 5th rank and the b file. We also have a laser coming down here on this white square diagonal, but that's not as important right now. And so we'll say that the king moves down to e3. So now pause the video again and try to think of a way to make the cage smaller again. All right. If you think you found the answer, we want to bring our queen down to c4. So we're moving this way and we're moving down, making the cage smaller and smaller as we go along. And so we have a c4 cage now. And we can say, oh, didn't mean to do that. We can say that the black king comes down here to d2. Now, if we try to move down like that again, just like this, then the black king will capture our queen and it will be a draw. Same if we move to d3. So to make the cage smaller, we might have to give him the c file back, but we can take away the 3rd rank by moving over here to b3. And so now we have a cage right here and right here. And then if the king moves down here to e1, we can move our queen to c2, and now we have a cage along e1 to eh, and so these are the only squares that the king has left. And so right now the king has to move to f1 because that's the only move he has allowed. And when he does that, we can make his cage even smaller. I'll let you pause the video to try to find the way to make the cage smaller. Okay, if you think you found the answer, we want to move to d2. So now that the cage is like this, e1 and along the 2nd rank. And so now the only legal move that this king has is g1, and we just keep doing the same thing we've been doing, bringing our queen closer and closer. And now we have a cage from f1 to the 2nd rank. And now the only two squares that are safe for the king are h1 and g1. And so the king only has one legal move, and that's to h1. Now this is the part where you have to be very careful, because if we move our queen right here, then the king's only safe square is h1. That means that black, for his turn, cannot make any moves. But as you can see, the black king isn't in a laser. The queen's lasers are all around the king, but not on him. And since black can't make a move, this is stalemate, and that means it's a tie between white and black. So it's very careful that once your king has, or once the enemy king only has the two squares left on G and H, that you leave the queen here so that until your king up here on D7 can come down and help out, this king always has a move to make. So be careful that you don't put the enemy in stalemate. And we'll talk more about stalemate in a video that I'll make later on. And so now that the king moved to H1, we don't want to move to F2 because that would be stalemate, but instead we want to start bringing the king down to help out. And so now the king can move to G1, and then we just keep bringing our king down, and then he can move to H1 because these are the only two squares that he can go to. And so then we can bring our king back down, he can move over, and then we can move down, and then the king can move over. And now we have checkmate in 1, and there's a few different moves that we can make to do that. But I'll let you pause the video, try to find at least one way to do checkmate, and then you can unpause it once you think you found it, and then I can show you a couple of the answers. Okay, if you think you found it, there are actually 4 different ways to do checkmate. The first way, actually 5, the first way is checkmate. The king can't capture the queen because our king's protecting it, and there's no safe squares for him to go. The second is checkmate here on G2. Same thing, king protecting queen, no safe squares for the black king to go. The third way is F1. Our white king is protecting these two, or this square right here, and then our queen has lasers on the other squares. So that's checkmate. The next way is just down here, checkmate, because we have the laser there, and then our white king is protecting these two squares. And then the last way is D1, which is the same idea, just like that. Thanks for watching. I look forward to making the next video for you. Bye.